Competition for liquefied natural gas has ramped up, especially between Europe and Asia, since the start of the war in Ukraine in 2022. With the West shunning Russian energy, LNG suppliers worldwide scrambled to make up the shortfall. One of those countries is Qatar, which has been making long-term supply deals with European and Asian partners, and recently announced that it expects to sign more contracts this year. Earlier this month, the Gulf country's Energy Minister Saad al-Kaabi said Qatar had secured 25 million tons of LNG sales. In February, the country had already announced an additional expansion of its LNG production, which would bring its total capacity to 142 million tons per year. And al-Kaabi added that after 2 warm winters in Europe, he sees a future need for more LNG in the continent. Turkiye is also considering the sale of its Black Sea gas and LNG to Europe under a recent law change, though it's not clear how much and when it will be exported. In 2020, Ankara announced the discovery of a major gas field in the Black Sea, the biggest in its history. And to discuss the two countries' energy ambitions, joining me now from Ankara is Eser Özdil. He is a founder of Global Group Consulting, Investment and Trade, and Oktay Tanrısever, a professor at the Middle East Technical University. Gentlemen, welcome to Straight Talk. It's good to have you on the program. So, Oktay, why is Qatar looking to increase the number of its LNG contracts and expand its LNG production?
I think Qatar, as the most strategic player in natural gas market, considers the existing strategic environment conducive for its new strategy. Because there has been shift from conventional gas to LNG, and as the main producer of LNG, Qatar is interested in taking advantage of this opportunity by both increasing the volume of production and also offering new alternatives to customers so that it could replace conventional players and their competitiveness by increasing its role in energy markets.
Yeah. So, Eser, it seems like Qatar has ambitious goals, but does it have enough energy deposits to meet the demand both from Europe and Asia at the same time?
Well, basically, as of now, we see that gas market is turning to long in terms of production. When it comes to Qatar specifically, until 2015, Qatar was the leading LNG exporter to the world. Then Australia and United States joined into the game. Basically, they treated the position of Qatar, and Australia and United States reached almost the same level of production with the Qatar. Then basically the second driver came into the force. Qatar wanted to compete with this other suppliers. And then actually they launched an ambitious expansion plan in the South Pars bases, which is also a deposit in Red Sea shared between Iran and Qatar. Then in the current situation, since the pipe gas supplies dropped sharply after the war in Russia and Ukraine, then Qatar wanted to further increase the production. As of now, we see that the increase in Qatar seems enough. However, with a long-term projection, increasing demand in China, South Korea, and Japan, most probably we will need more producers around the world. Qatar will not be enough as a sole supplier. United States should increase the production, and actually the other African countries should also increase the production.
So, Oktay, can we talk about a growing competition between Qatar and the United States when it comes to LNG sales?
I think US and Qatar are not competitors because there's a huge market, and as you said, production level is not really developed enough to meet the needs. So I think these players, LNG players, are trying to strengthen their position and also meet the strategic needs. The most important problem at the moment is the implications of Ukraine war on a global energy market, because European customers prefer not to import Russian LNG through conventional gas. So LNG needs to be a credible alternative to the European customers. To that purpose, new production sites were developed, and also these countries offer to provide natural gas on long-term contracts rather than spot market.
But Eser, I mean, could Qatar's LNG expansion, which is set to control about 25% of the global market by 2030, squeeze the US and other rivals? I mean, what kind of an impact it will have on the global projects in the US, East Africa, and elsewhere?
Well, technically speaking, these producers are competitors in the market. So again, economically speaking, Qatar, United States, Australia, and other LNG suppliers like Nigeria, maybe Mozambique, they are competing to each other. However, the current market landscape, especially the European market, is quite empty. And in terms of dropping supplies of Gazprom, which was roughly 100 BCM, basically, is filled by basically Qatar and US LNG producers. So from this point of view, in the short term, we haven't seen enough competition because Russia just drew back from the European market. And basically, that's why we haven't seen a severe competition. However, after 2030 and 2040, if we take into consideration the grand transition projections of the international credible organizations, such as International Energy Agency, or if we look at the projections of the European Commission in terms of gas consumption, for example, the European Commission considers that the gas consumption of the EU will drop to 300 BCM in 2030. So basically, the consumption of the EU just before the war in Ukraine was 500 BCM. So we see 200 BCM of drop in the market if we look at the European Commission perspective. So that's why, not with the short term, with the mid to long term, all these suppliers are analyzing the market landscape, and that's why they are preparing themselves to a severe competition. And this is one of the major drivers why Qatar is looking for long-term agreements with the European off-takers.
So, Oktay, Turkey has never had a long-term agreement with Qatar and was only buying Qatari volumes on the spot. So, could Ankara also deepen the scope of its energy cooperation with Qatar? I mean, what are the prospects, you think?
I think prospects are high because, as I said, Qatari natural gas production needs to be exported to Europe. And LNG demand from the European countries increasing. Turkey is trying to be an energy hub in this region. So Turkey could re-export some of the natural gas to European countries. In order to balance this trade, Turkey needs to find long-term suppliers. So Qatar is a reliable supplier for Turkey. Of course, Turkey is importing as much natural gas as possible from neighboring countries, but there are limits. So the game changer here could be Qatar and increasing LNG capacity, LNG processing capacity in and around Turkey, because European countries also need to invest in their LNG facilities. It takes time, but Turkey's broader strategy is to serve as energy hub for Europe. So Turkey needs to import more gas from Qatar.
So, Esad, for the re-export of gas, I think Turkey is considering the sale of Black Sea gas and LNG to Europe under a new recent law change. What does Turkey stand to gain from this latest amendment?
Aisha, I think the main principle with the new amendment in the law was Turkey is flexing its muscles to become trading country in natural gas and further exporting country, because Turkey has signed the first gas import agreement back in 1986. And basically until 2021 and 2022, these were the sizable natural gas export agreements first time signed between Bulgaria and Turkey, Turkey and Romania, Turkey and Moldova, and Turkey and Hungary. Then basically what I see in the law amendment, Turkey also wants to position itself as a trading country by increasing the importance of potash, also by increasing importance of TPAO and other private companies. So that's why Turkey doesn't want to stay only a natural gas importer, also wants to be a trader in the LNG business. Most probably in the future we can hear more cooperation agreements to be signed between Botaş and other international companies as well. And most probably Turkish Petroleum will also export some of the Sakarya production to the other neighboring countries via pipelines.
But Oktay, some analysts warn that Turkey should be cautious about investing in costly LNG liquefaction terminals in the face of, as you briefly mentioned, in the face of European demand, which remains uncertain. Would you agree?
Yes, I think the uncertainty is there because a lot depends on the future course of dynamics of security in Europe because conventional gas is cheaper. And if the European countries find cheaper alternatives than Turkish alternative, of course they will opt for these alternatives. So Turkey's investment has some risks, like all investments, but this doesn't mean that Turkey shouldn't proceed in this along this strategy. I think Turkey's prospect for becoming energy hub for Europe is quite bright, and by taking these projects alternatives into account, Turkey has already diversified the suppliers, and it emerges as a credible supplier for European markets.
All right, gentlemen, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me on Straight Talk.